Have you ever wondered how Japan evolved from a feudal society to a modern industrial power? In the heart of the 19th century lies a pivotal event that changed the course of history: the Meiji Restoration. This period marked an era of dramatic change, shifting the axis of power and paving the way for Japan's rise as a modern nation. The significance of the Meiji Era's impact is immeasurable. Join us as we delve into the remarkable transformation that is the Meiji Restoration. To appreciate the Meiji Restoration, we must first understand the conditions that led to it. Before the Meiji Restoration, Japan was under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, a feudal military government that had maintained peace and stability for over 250 years. The Tokugawa shogunate was characterized by a rigid social hierarchy, with the samurai class at the top and a clear distinction between warriors, farmers, artisans, and merchants. The Tokugawa shogunate also implemented a policy of sakoku, or closed country. Under this policy, Japan was isolated from the rest of the world. The shogunate strictly controlled foreign trade and prohibited Christianity, creating a society that was largely inward-looking and resistant to outside influences. However, the world outside Japan was changing rapidly. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing in the West, bringing with it incredible advances in technology and the rise of powerful, expansionist nations. These nations were eager to spread their influence around the globe, and Japan, with its rich culture and strategic location, was an alluring target. The isolationist policy of the Tokugawa shogunate came under increasing pressure in the mid-19th century. The arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry and his black ships from the United States in 1853 was a shock to the Japanese. The Western powers demanded that Japan open its ports to foreign trade. Faced with the threat of military force, the shogunate had no choice but to comply. This event exposed the weaknesses of the Tokugawa shogunate and led to a period of civil unrest. An increasing number of Japanese, particularly those from the samurai class, began to question the shogunate's ability to protect Japan's sovereignty. They called for a restoration of imperial rule and the modernization of Japan to counter the Western threat. These factors set the stage for a revolution, a restoration that would change Japan forever. The year 1868 marked a pivotal shift in Japanese history. It was a time of revolution, a time of change, a time of new beginnings. The Tokugawa shogunate, a military government that had ruled Japan for over 250 years, was on the brink of collapse. The shogunate's grip on power had been weakening for decades. The country was divided, with many factions vying for control. The arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry and his black ships in 1853 had forced Japan to open its doors to the outside world, a move that further destabilized the shogunate. The foreign influence brought with it new ideas, technology, and a growing sense of dissatisfaction among the Japanese people with the shogunate's rule. The year 1868 saw the culmination of these tensions. The Boshin War, a civil conflict between the shogunate and those seeking to restore the emperor to power, erupted. The shogunate's forces were ultimately defeated, and the Emperor Meiji, a mere 15-year-old boy at the time, was restored to the throne, marking the end of the feudal shogunate and the beginning of the Meiji Era. The Meiji Era was named after the young emperor, and it signified enlightened rule. It was a new dawn for Japan, a period of radical reform and transformation. The Meiji Restoration, as it came to be known, marked the start of Japan's journey towards modernization. The country's leaders looked to the West for inspiration, adopting Western-style institutions, technology, and ideas. The emperor was no longer just a figurehead but the symbol of the nation's unity and its aspirations. The Meiji government centralized power, abolished the feudal system, and implemented a new constitution. It promoted education, industry, and military modernization. In a few short decades, Japan transformed from an isolated feudal society to a modern, industrialized nation. But this was not a peaceful transition. There were those who resisted change, and the rapid modernization led to social upheaval and conflict. Yet, despite these challenges, the Meiji Era set Japan on the path to becoming a global power. With the restoration of the emperor, Japan embarked on an ambitious journey of modernization. In the Meiji Era, Japan underwent a transformation that was nothing short of phenomenal. The nation, previously isolated and steeped in traditional shogunate rule, pivoted dramatically towards modernity. This period was marked by a series of reforms that would forever alter the course of Japan's history. One of the most significant changes was the adoption of Western systems. The Meiji government, recognizing the advancements made by Western nations, sought to learn from them. This led to a series of study missions where Japanese officials and scholars traveled abroad to observe and learn from Western institutions. These missions resulted in the adoption of Western-style education, legal systems, and even clothing. In parallel to these cultural shifts, Japan underwent a surge in industrialization. The government took a proactive role in promoting industry, setting up state-owned factories and shipyards. These served as models for private enterprises, sparking a boom in industries like textiles, shipbuilding, and mining. By the end of the Meiji Era, Japan was producing goods that rivaled those of established Western industrial powers. Equally important was the modernization of Japan's military. The feudal samurai system was replaced with a conscript army modeled after Prussian lines. Naval power was also prioritized, with Japan's navy becoming a formidable force in the Pacific. These changes were not only a response to Western influence, but a strategic move to ensure Japan's security and sovereignty. Finally, the establishment of a constitutional monarchy marked a significant political transformation. Modeled after the German system, the Meiji Constitution of 1889 introduced a bicameral parliament known as the Imperial Diet. Although the emperor retained significant power, this system laid the groundwork for a more democratic form of governance. These reforms, however, were not achieved without resistance. Traditionalists clung to the old ways, while others felt the pace of change was too rapid. Yet the Meiji government navigated through these challenges, driven by a determination to transform Japan into a modern, industrialized nation. The Meiji era was a time of dramatic change, from the adoption of Western systems to industrialization, military revamp, and the establishment of a constitutional monarchy. Japan underwent a rapid and remarkable transformation. It was a period that saw Japan shedding its feudal past and stepping boldly into the modern world. In the span of a few decades, Japan went from a feudal society to a burgeoning industrial power. The country's leaders had managed to modernize without losing sight of their cultural identity, a balancing act that was nothing short of extraordinary. Indeed, the Meiji era was a testament to Japan's resilience and adaptability. It was a time when Japan, through a series of bold reforms, reinvented itself and emerged stronger and more dynamic. These sweeping changes propelled Japan into the ranks of the world's leading industrial powers. It was a transformation that was nothing short of phenomenal, a testament to Japan's ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive in the face of change. The Meiji Restoration left a lasting legacy that shaped modern Japan. This pivotal era, spanning from 1868 to 1912, marked a monumental shift in Japan's trajectory, propelling it from a feudal society to a modern state. Let's delve into the enduring impacts of the Meiji Restoration. Firstly, Japan's metamorphosis during the Meiji era allowed it to emerge as a world power. Having successfully modernized, Japan was no longer a nation to be underestimated. The country's swift industrialization and military expansion enabled it to stand toe-to-toe with Western powers. The Russo-Japanese War in the early 20th century exemplified this newfound strength, as Japan became the first Asian nation in modern history to defeat a European power, reshuffling the geopolitical deck. Secondly, the Meiji Restoration played a crucial role in shaping Japan's modern identity. The blending of traditional Japanese values with Western ideas led to a unique cultural synthesis. The adoption of a Western-style constitution and parliamentary system, alongside the preservation of the emperor as a symbol of national unity, created a political framework that has endured for over a century. Also, the promotion of compulsory education, the adoption of the Gregorian calendar, and the widespread use of Western attire during the Meiji era have left an indelible mark on Japanese society. These changes reflect Japan's willingness to adapt and evolve without losing sight of its cultural heritage. Finally, Japan's role in subsequent global events can be traced back to the Meiji era. The country's rapid modernization and the establishment of a strong military set the stage for its later involvement in World War I and II. Furthermore, the Meiji era laid the foundation for Japan's post-war economic miracle, as the country leveraged its industrial capabilities to become a global economic powerhouse. The Meiji Restoration, a pivotal period in Japanese history, catalyzed the creation of the modern Japan we know today. For its profound impacts on Japan's global standing, its modern identity, and its role in world history. The legacy of the Meiji Restoration continues to resonate in the 21st century. So, the Meiji Restoration was not just a historical event but a revolution that modernized Japan. This monumental shift propelled the country from a feudal society into a global powerhouse. It was a time of rapid transformation marked by industrialization, westernization, and the birth of a new cultural identity. Understanding the Meiji Restoration provides a unique lens through which to view Japan's rich history and its journey into the modern world. The Meiji Restoration, a testament to Japan's resilience and adaptability, remains a fascinating study of a nation's metamorphosis from isolation to modernization.